Nothing really of note there. Cloakroom, it looks like. Curing potion. Can take that. And this looks like it's her room. Okay, then. And this would be the upstairs. Meditation quarters, it seems. And in here, not much. A book. This is a book of healing prayers and rituals. Looks like it was brought here only recently for study by the abbess of the temple. A lot of it is beyond your comprehension. The language is archaic and the chants are very complicated. You do find a small section on the purging of poison that you can partially understand. Your skill with this curing spell increases. Hey! Which means curing 3! Yay! Just what we wanted. Alright, down we go. And we shall continue to explore. And I shall just uncover that little bit over there. Alright. Excuse me. Aaron's Leather Works. This low building is thick with the reek of curing leather. The man who runs this shop seems to not notice the foul atmosphere. His lungs will make him pay a heavy price later, no doubt. When you browse his shop, he cuts a long strip of leather, probably to make a belt. After a long silence, he says, "I'm Aaron's. Let me know if you need anything. Unless the shade is near, then we're closed." When you look around, you see that his wares are of quite high quality. Can I see your wares? Yeah, leather goods. There's some very nice equipment here. Thank you, I try. And I do custom work. If you find any fine leather and bring it in to me, for a price I can make quality equipment for you. Rudimentary crafting. No thank you. Heard any interesting gossip? I don't bother with politics, I keep to myself. That's the way I like it and the way the Shade likes it. Where do you get your leather? From my suppliers when they can get into town. So lately I haven't gotten any new stock at all. I don't really know where they hunt it. One of my suppliers said that there's a big nest of lizards southeast of here. I haven't seen him around in a while, so he might have been right, and the lizards got him. Say, if you can get me 3 big pieces of high-quality leather, I'll pay a good price for it. My orders are starting to back up, and I could use the help. Sure, we'll keep our eyes open. And here's the smithy. Nobody's in there. Wait, what did that say? Ken and Jen's Provisions. This man is a local legend. His name is Ken, and he has spent the last several decades in Formello raising and slaughtering giant lizards. He is renowned for his hatred of the stupid reptiles and for the punishment he has suffered from their claws and teeth. He is covered with scars and missing 2 fingers, but he always gets his final revenge on every reptile in his care. When you get close, he regales you with a long, obscene rant on the stupidity and nastiness of the beasts in his care. He tells you several ways in which they can try to take chunks out of you. Then he slaps you on the back and tells you to talk to his wife Jen. She actually cooks and sells the foods that they sell. This kitchen prepares hot food, bread, and sacks of rations, which are then sold to hungry locals and travelers. The owner, Jen, is well known for her ability to take Avernum's noxious natural ingredients and produce food which is borderline edible. She greets you with a smile and says, "Welcome, stranger. Hungry?" Yeah, she's got food, but nothing we need to take. And that's where the lizards are. Alright, I'm just gonna take a quick look up in here before we take a look at the rest. I don't think there's... Oh. Okay, a healing potion. Fine. And javelins, which we don't need. Yeah, I know, I said I was gonna use javelins, but I just hate them. So much. All of my hate. Oh, someone back here. There's a young woman in rough clothes sitting up here, munching on a dry roll. Looks like she has been traveling a lot lately. Traveling somewhere where they don't have combs. She has a large leather bag over her shoulder. She looks up at you for a long moment. Then she says with a mouthful of bread, "I'm just Brina. I'm selling stuff I found on the road, and if you got something good, I'll buy it, no questions asked. Do business or leave me alone." Nothing we need. Something to sell? Yeah, sure, sell the gremlin wine. I don't think we need that. Where do you get your wares? Where did you get the idea that it's your business? You're an adventurer, a hired killer. Don't get snooty. Okay, then. Bye, Heidi lady. Yeah, there was also down here, which I'll take a look at. Why not? There's a guard there. Ah! Way to sneak out, it looks like. Pretty much. With some herbs, actually. Nice. And a, focusing crystal. Okay, then. It's worth it to come out there. Alright, 2 other places left to look at, it seems. One to the north, one to the south. Let's start with north. Formello Library and School of Enchantments. Okay. Genevieve takes the letter. Thank you, I hadn't expected to get this. As promised, she tips you a small pouch of silver coins. I believe that was a quest we had in Fort Draco. There is a young woman with long dark hair sitting at this table. She is bent over a book, but she isn't reading it. She's repairing the spine. As you watch, she mutters, "One moment, this is not easy." Soon she reaches a point where it is safe to set the book down. She looks up and frowns at you. Strangers, talking to me. Lovely. I am Genevieve, the librarian. What is it you need? Tell me about your library. It is the finest for many miles around. It is excellent for studies of magic, of crafts, of history, even my own personal area of study, languages. Most of the books are upstairs. Please make at least a weak effort to remove the grime off your fingers before you paw them. You study languages? As many as I can. Nephil and Slith tongues are my specialties, but I have collected all the examples of Venati syntax I can find. If we ever contact those creatures again, it might be helpful. Do you have any books that might help me? Oh yes, you want books with powerful arcane spells so that you may call destruction upon your foes? Yes? That is the adventurer way, is it not? Dr. Sage Alice, she's the magic instructor here. I deal in knowledge, not armaments. Well, a sage named Lark is trying to decipher this language. Can you help? Genevieve seems to actually be interested. She inspects the paper for several minutes. Then she smiles and shakes her head. Handing the page back to you, she says, Very interesting. A rare event. I have no idea what this is. It seems to be magical script. That would be about the only way that I would be so unfamiliar with it. If you are really interested, you should go south to the ruins of the Tower of Magi. There are a few sages there trying to recover what survived at the library. Maybe one of them can help. Can I get magical training here? Talk to Sage Alice. She's the magic instructor here. I care for the books. You don't speak with strangers? Now when I can help it. I want to live. The shade is most likely to give the icy touch to those who speak with outsiders. You should feel fortunate that I am speaking with you at all. Oh. This book is called Knowledge of the Venati. A summary. The Venati are a race of strange humanoids that only exist in the underworld, in cavern complexes far below Avernum. They are tall, with gray skin and large eyes. They are highly intelligent and extremely magically skilled. Venati magic is centered around the use of crystals, which they use to store and refine magical energy. Their most unusual power is the creation of crystal souls. These are living things, the spirits of their wisest ancestors given physical form. The Venati revere and worship the crystal souls with fanatical devotion. Alas, when the Empire discovered the Venati, they stole 3 of the crystal souls. Avernites helped recover the souls, in return for which the Venati helped them win their war against the Empire. Unfortunately, this amity between Avernum and the Venati did not last. A mighty Venati wizard, Rentar Irno, swore vengeance against the Empire, unleashing plagues of magical monsters on the surface. A band of Avernites helped end these plagues, in return for which the Empire let Avernites return to the surface. Since then, there has been no contact between Avernum and the Venati people. It is to be hoped there are no hard feelings. Considering how the Venati have acted, I kinda doubt there's no hard feelings. This book is called The Wars of Avernum. Avernum has fought in many desperate struggles in its short and unhappy history. The first time of trial was in the years of the founding. It was then that the Arch-Magi Erica, Solberg, Patrick, and others fought the demonic forces of Grahoth, purging them from the tunnels and winning a place to live and grow in peace. Then followed a time of persistent low-level strife against savage Nephilim and the Slith armies of the cruel Sis. It was in these struggles that Avernum first truly profited from the adventurers the Empire exiled here. After some of those same adventurers assassinated Emperor Hawthorne of the Empire invaded Avernum. This was the hardest and most bloody struggle fought in the underworld, but it was eventually won with the help of the Venati. Years later, after envoys from Avernum helped the Empire fight off vengeful attacks by the Venati, Empress Prazak allowed Avernites who wished to return to the service to do so. Since then, Avernum has been a largely peaceful place, or as much as possible. The only troubles of note have been nasty border skirmishes with savage Lazarakai. All such struggles have resulted in decisive victories for Avernum. This woman looks like she is new to the world of wizardry. Her robes are covered with embroidered glyphs and runes, some of them glowing, and she wears an ostentatious amount of talismans, fetishes, and other enchanted jewelry. New mages frequently submit to such excesses of fashion. They haven't helped her confidence, however. She looks terrified. When you approach her, she can barely stop shaking. I am Sage Alice, the instructor for the school. When it has students, when I can study. There are no students at the school? No, they were killed, murdered. They were some of the first to be taken by the Shade. The Shade killed all of them? Yes, one by one. He seems to favor those who learn, who travel, who do things. So I don't seek out students now. I don't want to be responsible for doing that to them. Has the Shade tried to kill you? No, I never go outside, ever. The mayor sends food to me, and I stay in here. Sage Alice manages to summon up enough courage to speak with you, though she will only do so in whispers and from the other side of the room. Yes, something else? What do you study? When the Shade came, I was just setting out. Was just beginning to teach here. But I kept my own studies up in enchanted creatures, dragonkind when I could. Did you learn anything interesting? A few things. And then the Shade came. And the Shade was there, always there. And I got to observe magical creatures up close as much as I could possibly want. You want to study dragons? If I could. They still exist. Some believe they are even breeding, making more. Years ago, a dragon named Mortax lived north of here. Oh, I wish he was still alive. I wish I could learn more from him. But he is gone, and his lair was abandoned, and his stones were lost. What happened to Mortax? Empire's soldiers murdered him when they invaded. Butchers. The Empire put many dragons to the sword. So few remain. Mortax's stones? What were they? Near the end of his life, when he was dying of his wounds, he was said to have written some things on tablets of soft clay, written with his claws. If they were found, nobody knows what he wrote. They were not lost in the confusion of the war. I was going to go to the lair and see if I can find fragments of them, but the disaster. Best not to think about it. Think about survival. Yes. I could use magical instruction. You should know. Knowledge, dealing with others. These are things that draw the Shade, but if you wish, I can teach you. If you will take the risk. Learn unlock doors. And improve icy rain. Sure. Another point to unlock doors. That works. Thank you for the knowledge. Anything else in here, I wonder? Oh, there's a potion. Anything else? These are sparsely furnished students' quarters. No apprentices are present. Not really much of anything else up here, which I suppose makes sense. All that's left is City Hall. In we go. Long episode, I know, but it's a big place. Oop. Actually, before I talk, I'm just going to take a look up here. Records. Personal quarters. Gold necklace. Gold ring. And a sparkling wand. Okay, no way we're going into the treasury there. Alright. Now let us speak. The mayor of Formello is in her audience hall, sitting on her throne. She isn't in good shape. All of her guards and attendants are gone, and the shade that has afflicted the city has worn her down too. She is pale and thin, and has developed the nervous habit of picking at her mayor's sash with her fingers, leaving it frayed at the edges. She jumped when you rounded the corner, probably thinking that the shade had come for her at last. After taking a moment to regain her composure, she says, "Outsiders, I welcome you, though it is perilous to do so. I am Mayor Henrietta, the one who has been charged with keeping the city together as much as possible. I am risking the wrath of the Shade to see you because I have heard that you may have something of value to contribute. I hope I have not been misled." What has been happening in Formello lately? She shakes her head and lets out a long sigh. Well, I assume you have heard about the rivers being full of monsters and the end of boat traffic, which hit Formello very hard, I assure you. Also, there has been a huge increase in monster activity. Enough so that I was forced to erect a quarantine barrier between here and the Eastern Gallery. These would have been enough to deal with, but then the Shade came, and all we could do was struggle to remain alive and sane. Do you know anything about the monsters in the water? No more than anyone else. They swim in the deep and dark, and all we have seen of them are the tentacles. We see them when they drag a boat down. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you, very few sailors survive a capsized ship in the underworld. There is a quarantine? Yes, the Eastern Gallery to the south has had worse monster infestations than we have. Since we have had enough problems here, I had our mates erect barriers along the road to the south. A harsh step, I know, but things would be far worse if the insects swarming the Eastern Gallery were allowed to infest our fields. So please do not ask to pass the barriers. Lowering and raising them is extremely difficult. Mayor Henrietta since shrunk back in her chair and picks at her sash. Occasionally she casts a longing glance back at the wine on the low table in front of her. Yes, what else do you wish to discuss? Tell me more about the Shade. The Shade first appeared several weeks ago. In that time, civilized life in our city has crumbled to nothingness. The Shade is currently absent, thus it may be possible for you to speak with people, trade, and so on. If the Shade were here, even if you were able to concentrate on anything, people would shun you. Have you tried to kill the Shade? Several times. The Shade has considerable power. The wounds our warriors create heal themselves almost immediately, and then it destroys any who dare try to harm it. It radiates magical cold, very intense. Many of our soldiers have been frozen completely solid. The same fate awaits the poor souls that it decides for whatever reason to kill. The Shade isn't always here? No. It travels. Sometimes it appears in Sylvar to the south. Sometimes it comes back here. And wherever it is, life stops. We don't know why it decides to go to one place or the other. It seems to switch every few days, though. I'd like to know more about the Shade. I would too, but it's very difficult to study it. I know of only one person who is trying. His name is Sage Townsend. He has been watching the Shade every moment he could. He is hiding in the cave at the northeast corner of town. He never leaves there because of the entirely reasonable belief that the Shade would kill him. I was recently ambushed by someone. They had papers with a strange symbol. I have heard nothing like that. Very strange. I will watch for similar signs. She seems unconvinced that this is of any importance. I had a strange encounter in a mine west of here. Described and show her the mark. Mayor Henrietta sits up straight and listens attentively as you tell your story. This may be the first signs of enthusiasm she's shown about anything in weeks. She constantly interrupts your tale with questions. This may be significant. It is a pity that you could not get more information from the being in the crystal. Why don't you let me see the mark? When you show it to her, she is lost in thought for a minute. You know, someone mentioned something like this to me recently. I think it was Genevieve, the librarian. You should show it to her. I want to know what she says before I come to any conclusions. Alright, let's speak to Genevieve. Genevieve, we must speak with you. The mayor sent me to you. Can you look at this mark? She leans over and looks at it, being careful not to touch you. This? Yes. I heard a story from one of our students who went to the mines to the north. The miners told her that they saw a body. It was a surveyor who had been exploring the caves in the northeast, where the dragon Mortax used to live. The dead man had been caught by a pack of lizards. The body had a mark on the hand much like that one, and that is all the student told me before she got on with her studies. I thought it was an interesting curiosity, and mentioned it to the mayor in passing. What happened to the student? Can I speak with her? Oh, she died. She was one of the first claimed by the Shade. Well, we had hoped. I showed the rune to Genevieve. Another mark. Yes, I thought that was what I had heard. It is so difficult to function, to concentrate. She looks at the paper scattered on the floor around her. I'm sure there's something about it in that mess. For once, I think I have an obvious course of action ahead of me. Yes, the directions I must give you are clear. Where do you think I should go next? I think I should direct you to go north, to the old warrens Mortax used to live in. It's not entirely safe, of course. The old dragon's magic is still around, and it's done funny things to the wildlife up there. But someone there made a mark like the one you have. Someone or something up there is linked to what you saw in the Draco mines. You should go up there and find it. You should enjoy this assignment, I think. Anything that gets one farther from the Shade is all to the good. Well, okay then. There's Formello investigated, and they are not doing well out here. I always liked Formello. I always said, if there was a place I'd stay in Avernum, Formello would be it. Seeing it brought low like this, overcome with fear and terror by a Shade. I can only imagine how bad Silvar is doing as well. Next episode, we'll take a look in the areas around Formello. See what's going on out there. We have at least one quest as well. That'll be in the next episode. Till then, I am Chester44. That is Nova, Liren, John, and Pyrrha. This has been an Avernum 4 Let's Play, and I shall see you all next time.